Hi, I'm Brandon Nielsen, and I'm going to talk to you about why IT does matter. So, to start out, we are going to talk about an article that was written by Nicholas G. Carr. He's a staff writer for Harvard Business Review, and he has a collection of articles that are published there about why IT has become basically not important. So in 2003 and 2004, he argued that IT's power and ubiquity have grown and its strategic importance has diminished, and that everyone has it. His argument there is that as IT has become widely accepted and people have their systems, it's much like a railroad. When the railroad was first being built and there were some competitive advantages for early industrialists to get their product from one end of the country to the other, the only competition was, let's say, steamboats or ships. And now they could build a straighter, more faster mechanism to not only just ship raw products, but to also be able to ship finished goods. And that was a competitive advantage for the railroad. The comparison is that our IT infrastructure has become like the railroad. There's not just one track, and there's not just one railroad company. There's several. And it has become very commoditized. And there isn't a lot of distinction between one company's IT infrastructure over another. And so there is no competitive strategy involved. And it has become of little competitive value, according to Nicholas Carr. And from a standpoint of becoming commoditized, that's his argument, that everyone has it. So, we're going to argue with some case studies that will prove otherwise, that there are some competitive distinctions between in IT, in between how companies choose to implement it. So I decided to find what I thought were Carr's three main arguments. One, as IT becomes ubiquitous, they become commodities towards complete build-out, meaning that 30 years ago, not everybody had an IT infrastructure. And now, in 2012, everyone does. And there just isn't much difference between another company's and somebody else's. Two, the only meaningful advantage most companies can hope to gain from an infrastructural technology after its build-out phase is cost advantage. Argument three, that IT success is highly replicable because most business processes and activities are embedded in off-the-shelf software, meaning that, there's a lot of CRM products, there's a lot of enterprise resource products, that any of these products and resources are plug and play with very little customization that can happen. And thus, out of the box, you can run a business. We're going to argue differently. So, as IT becomes ubiquitous, they become commodities, much like cogs. Not much different than the wheels of the old mill house that relied on a stream and a wheel that moved the gears inside the mill to create mechanisms to create flour or to turn the gears of some process. And that later became steam powered. and then that later became electricity. And sure, in the beginning, as I had my stream and my mill wheel, I may have had a competitive advantage, but soon everybody would catch up. Then I would move to steam to move my mechanisms, and that would be an advantage for a while, and then soon somebody would catch up to me, and then I would move to electricity, and so on and so forth. And as we near complete build out, there's just not a lot of competitive advantages there, according to Carr. So in 2003, one of his arguments that he made was that we already have more fiber optic capacity than we needed, and that the distribution network finally caught up with the demand and offered no more competitive advantage. Now, I happen to disagree wholeheartedly with this, because in 2009, I was one of 5 regional managers to launch a new business unit inside Comcast, and that was taking fiber optics to the small business and mid-market level. Why? Why was it important for businesses to have fiber optics? Because it creates a competitive advantage. It is not a commodity. There are needs for bandwidth. And we just here in the Salt Lake Valley have ran over 97 miles of new fiber to get to over 200 new fiber clients. As we move more to the cloud, and that there's more need to be able to have bandwidth to run the applications that we're doing as a small business, the need for that bandwidth there. So this is just one perfect example of how Carr was wrong, and why, for example, the capacity, we had more than, and I've generated now just in 24 months of operation, $460,000 a month in new revenue. Geez, that wouldn't have happened if Carr was correct. So his theories proved wrong. Argument 2, the only meaningful advantage after build-out phase is cost advantage. Carr's argument, that technology spreads quickly for there to be any real advantage to happen as universal standards are set and proprietary systems are obsolete. I read a Harvard Business case review about 3M, and 3M had actually created synergy between all their worldwide divisions by creating a centralized system called GEDW. And this was to help them understand the customer relationships and strategic decision making that could exist between all these divisions. They had one division that may be selling to a client a certain product. Well, on the right hand, they didn't know what the left hand was doing. And so what they've been able to do is create a centralized decision-making system where they can go, one business decision maker can go, hey, you know what, in this other division we do business with XYZ company. Maybe we could get into those same decision makers with this other line of our product and sell them products too. So there's been a lot of really great synergy that's been created between different divisions, worldwide companies, for centralized systems, CRMs, and another resource, ERP, Enterprise Resource Management software that has been very successful. So again, we see another one of Carr's arguments disembolished. His last argument, IT success is highly replicable. Most business processes and activities are embedded in off-the-shelf software. Well, his argument, companies will fulfill their IT requirements simply by purchasing web services from third parties like IT utilities. I guess you could say that I could go buy any kind of off-the-shelf product, and now my business decisions have been made for me. There's no advantages that ABC company has over XYZ. That's his argument. Well, we're going to counter his argument with another case study from Harrah's. Now, Harrah's basically took information that they were gathering from their clients to create and understand analytics through business intelligence by customizing proprietary algorithms that they could use in their customer resource management software to help them be able to give the right message to the right client. They could also figure out who the most profitable client was and how to keep getting them back into their properties. Now, if Carr's statements were true that companies will just fulfill their IT requirements off the shelf third-party software, then this wouldn't be true either. I mean, Harrah's analytics cannot be copied by another company. They just can't. They don't know how they're gathering the same information. They don't understand their client as well as Harrah's does. And so again, we see that an argument of Carr's has been disproven just from understanding how Harrah's has used analytics and business intelligence to create proprietary advantages over their competition in their industry. So, to sum this up, Comcast has built fiber optics to the small business and middle markets, totally disabolishing Carr's first argument. Next, 3M created synergy of all their divisions by creating centralized systems to understand customer relationships and strategic decision making. And last, Harrah's moved to analytics and business intelligence with customized algorithms for their CRM and for competitive advantages. So in short, we've been able to disprove Carr's hypothesis and thesis by giving real-world business cases where the opposite has actually happened, one being with my own company. And with that, thank you for listening. Hope you enjoyed the presentation, and we hope we get a good grade. Thanks so much. Bye.